We don't any longer have a leader who reminds us that we're in it together, who heals the wounds, who does even what Abraham Lincoln did in the Civil War, which is said, with malice toward none, trying to bring us together. No, we have a leader who, in response to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, said exactly the reverse.
I would hope that there would be someone who would say, okay, enough is enough. These are our values. This is a bigger picture. But that is exactly not what's happening.
And the norm that we took for granted is that a president's role in times of strife and stress and
emergencies and chaos and this
that's right was to reassure
traumas.
The country and to remind us of what we have in common and to heal the wounds. And I think that that's what we understood a very major part of a president's role to be, because there are ideals that hold us together. There are hopes that hold us together.
We do have to just step back and acknowledge that the depth of corruption and self-dealing and self-enrichment by the Trump family during this term is something that we have never, ever seen in the United States. At no point in our republic have we seen anything like this. I mean, you had Jared Kushner took billions of dollars from the Saudis. You've got the president's family going out ahead of his official visits doing business across the region. You've got the meme coin, where foreigners are directly enriching the president and his family and his businesses. And some of them are being quite open. Some of the folks buying this coin are being quite open that they're doing it in order to curry favor or to gain influence. And the president is selling private dinners and White House tours to people who invest in his family businesses, not to mention the airplane, which is maybe the most extraordinary single obvious constitutional violation in presidential history. It is really mind-blowing. And for the speaker to say that, when it is the explicit role of the United States Congress to investigate and oversee misconduct by the executive branch, when we have all sworn an oath to that Constitution, which defines that separation of powers and that role for the United States Congress, demonstrates that there is no red line, there is no new depth that this administration can plumb that will get these folks to give a damn. They're absolutely committed to defending and covering up for this president and this administration, no matter what.
The country, your ability to get a vaccine depends on where you live. I mean, in 3 states, CVS pharmacies aren't offering COVID vaccines at all. In 13 other states, you can only get a vaccine if you have a prescription. Now, that's not because CVS is short on vaccines. It's because Trump's federal health agencies have ignored science and created regulatory chaos everywhere in the process. Now, the way this all normally works is that there is a board of experts inside the CDC that approves COVID vaccines each year as they are updated. Technically, their approval is called a recommendation, but that federal recommendation allows pharmacies to give out the vaccine all across the country. And for people who visit pharmacies to feel comfortable that the vaccines they're getting are safe and approved by medical experts. It's hugely powerful in that regard. Now, last year, that board of the CDC had approved the new COVID boosters by June. Compare that to June of this year, when Trump's HHS Secretary RFK Jr. fired everyone on that CDC board. He then replaced all of the experts on that board with vaccine skeptics who have yet to federally approve this year's COVID booster. Now, without that federal approval, the ability for pharmacies to give out COVID booster shots is a state-by-state issue. On top of all of that, last week, the FDA limited its authorization of the new COVID vaccine just to people 65 years old or older and to people with underlying health conditions. So all across the country, the federal government is making it harder and more confusing for people to get vaccinated. But states are actually starting to fight back. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey effectively wrote a prescription for the majority of her state. She issued a standing order authorizing pharmacists in her state to give COVID boosters to anyone over the age of 5, despite the FDA's restrictions. Hours later, the top health official in Colorado issued a similar order, allowing pharmacists in his state to provide COVID shots to anyone 6 months or older. New Mexico did a similar thing over the weekend. And on the West Coast today, California, Oregon, and Washington state announced plans to form what they are calling a health alliance to make vaccine recommendations on their own, without the federal government. States like Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania are considering their own health alliance in the Northeast. All of that is powerful and important work, and it will undoubtedly protect the health of countless Americans. But there is a reason we as a country handle healthcare nationally to begin with. Viruses don't care about state lines. And particularly when it comes to the protection offered by vaccinations, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And right now, some people in our country will have greater access to vaccines than others, depending on which state they live in. Florida will soon be the first state in the nation to drop all vaccine requirements. That's right. This is not just about COVID. Florida public school children will no longer need to be vaccinated for things like measles, mumps, chickenpox, or hepatitis B. And again, that won't just impact Florida. 130 million Americans visited Florida last year, more than a third of the country's population. And then they returned home to their own states, of course. The lack of real federal leadership at our nation's public health agencies is putting the health of all Americans at risk, not just in these states.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? The shooter is a white, heterosexual, cisgendered, upper-ish, middle-class, Trump-loving, MAGA conservative. Like, holy shit. I mean, so, conservatives, you guys had a lot of energy about a civil war yesterday for the political party who was responsible for Charlie Kirk. Are you guys still planning on following through with that by chance? Because I think you should. You really should. Like, it's going to be hard to back out of it at this point. And this will be the most entertaining civil war in history. Who doesn't want to watch someone who doesn't understand the concept of recoil mount a 50 cal onto their rascal scooter? Like, this should be a pay-per-view event. It really should. Like, this is going to... Like, I don't see a downside to this. Like, you guys are going to help free up parking spaces when you don't exist anymore. You're going to help get rid of traffic. That's going to open up jobs. And you guys are going to, like, it'll raise the collective IQ in this country by, like, double digits. I think you guys should go ahead and go forward with this whole Civil War thing you were talking about yesterday.
Charlie Kirk was not practicing politics the right way. His tragic and horrific assassination deserves widespread condemnation. But as we ponder his legacy, we should not sidestep the full picture. There's a tendency after a tragedy to focus on what's best about a person, or at least not focus on the negatives. And that's probably a good thing. But as we see Trump and his loyalists canonize Charlie Kirk, the president says he's going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously.
We should also look at all the things that Kirk said and did. After all, he was quite loud and quite proud about his own actions. Following the assassination, many in the media characterized Charlie Kirk in the most lofty of terms. Axios called him a champion of free expression. Ezra Klein, the liberal columnist at the New York Times, said that Charlie Kirk practiced politics the right way. He said he was envious of how Kirk built a political movement, and he praised Kirk's moxie and fearlessness. Here's the problem. Kirk built this movement on deceit, and his advocacy was laced with racism and bigotry. Recognizing this does not diminish how awful this assassination was, nor should it lessen our outrage and our sympathy for Kirk's family, friends, and colleagues. But if this is an appropriate time to assess Kirk's role in American political life, there ought to be room for a full discussion. Kirk was part of the crusade that broke American politics. He was a major proponent of Trump's lie that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Kirk pushed a false conspiracy theory that ended up inciting one of the most horrendous acts of political violence in U.S. history, January 6th. His role in all of that has been largely overlooked in many of the news stories about his political activities. As a right-wing provocateur and MAGA organizer, Kirk made many statements that could be considered racist, bigoted, homophobic. He said that the religion of Islam was not compatible with the West.
Is macro Islam compatible with Western values? Of course it's not.
He hosted white nationalists on his podcast. He said that America must preserve its white demographics. He even once said that if he got on a plane and saw a black pilot,
if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
He would worry, fearing that person had been given the job only because of DEI or affirmative action. Now, Charlie Kirk did love debate, and that's admirable. He would go to college campuses and face off with students and take them all on. But that's not the whole story. We really do have to look at what he said, and he often encouraged harsh and divisive rhetoric. He was not at all shy about the positions he held and the controversies he generated. So as he is being canonized by Trump and the right, these are matters we should be free to discuss, which means there's no reason to back away from evaluating all these statements and actions while we ponder his legacy. And the lies he advanced did fuel political violence and an assault on our national foundation. That is not practicing politics the right way. His assassination is horrible and frightening and should be denounced by all. It should prompt reflection on what is happening within our country and what we ought to do to prevent further political violence. But it should not protect Kirk or anyone else who engages in the politics of extremism from critical review.
And let me tell you something I'd not share with anybody, but the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence. That was the last message that he sent me before that assassin stole him from all of us. And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership.
That was Stephen Miller about an hour ago on Fox News, carrying on as if we don't now know who the shooter is. And we know he's not a radical leftist. We know he's actually more far right than Charlie Kirk was. It's looking like he was a groyper, but that's still getting worked out. But he has a voter registration card that's inactive, meaning he didn't actually vote, and he's unaffiliated with any party. There's nothing that's making him out to be a radical leftist. He's a cishet white guy from a Republican family in Utah. What is making him a radical leftist? Nothing. But who cares if it's not true? Just say it anyway. Kind of like that story he just told. Because you know what else didn't happen? I'll take things that didn't happen for 500, Alex. That wasn't the last message Charlie Kirk left for him. They're just turning this into this martyr deification scenario where we use the memory of Charlie Kirk to literally declare war on other Americans. And if you think they're not really going to do this, please understand that Stephen Miller is a top advisor to the president and one of the key authors of Project 2025, and he has a plan.
I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities.
You see, he has a plan, right? When people have a plan, it's a lot more serious than just yapping. They're brainstorming what charges they can give people who don't agree with their ideologies, and then calling it entities and organizations. Hey, Stephen, what entities and organizations?
That are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence.
Any of that language sound familiar? It's just vague, ambiguous language that they use to assign to everybody on the left all the time. It's what they do. Donald Trump said in his campaign leading up to this presidency that the true enemy was the enemy from within. Now his top advisor and key author of Project 2025 is telling you the language they're going to use to literally make all of us the enemy from within.
My message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate. You want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile.
And if you don't believe it at this point, I don't know what to tell you.
And let me tell you something I'd not share with anybody, but
where is Melissa Hortman's Medal of Freedom? Where is Mark Hortman's Medal of Freedom? Two individuals, politicians, who were serving their constituents in the state of Minnesota, who lost their lives to political violence. No Medal of Freedom was handed out to them. But Charlie Kirk, a man who, as far as I'm concerned, challenged the American people to put his theory to the test when he said that we must accept a degree of gun deaths to maintain our Second Amendment right. That theory was put to the test yesterday. And he gets flags flown at half-mast and the Medal of Freedom? Ladies and gentlemen, this is madness. Where's the Medal of Freedom to those children who lost their lives in that Catholic school just a few weeks ago? To the children who lost their lives in Colorado just yesterday? Charlie Kirk is being given more rewards, being shown more respect than our veterans who have given their lives to this country. And might I add, today is 9/11. And the simple fact that the President of the United States took time that should have been devoted to remembering the catastrophic events of 9/11 to talk about Charlie Kirk is beyond unreal. I'm sick of this. Where is Melissa Hortman's Medal of...
There is nothing remotely Christian, American, or morally defensible about a policy that separates children from their parents and locks them in cages. My heart, then and now, is with those who suffer, not against those who govern. The church cannot remain silent when God's children suffer. The issue of immigration is, without a doubt, the greatest point of contention between my teachings and President Trump's policies. As a cardinal, I expressed concern about policies such as family separation, mass deportations, and language describing migrants as an invasion. Immigration is not just a political issue. It is a human and moral issue. The Church does not propose specific policies, but she does defend the dignity of every person, regardless of their origin. But I do invite all leaders to look at migrants with the eyes of Christ, who saw not borders, but hearts. That politics must serve people, not the other way around. The Church must be the voice of the voiceless, even when that creates discomfort. I do not intend to dictate his policies, but I do respectfully remind him that power is a service, not an end. There is nothing remotely Christian, American.
This isn't about crime. He doesn't care about crime. This is a criminal. So crime is not his issue. He cares about power. He cares about scaring you. If he cared about crime, why is the National Guard picking up trash?
Or why aren't they in Republican-led states?
Yeah, why aren't they in Republican-led states? Why aren't
crime rates are higher?
I live in the South. We know crime rates are higher. So the point isn't, we have to stop using his language, using their language. And let's be clear, he may be the megaphone. He is not the architect. He didn't make this up himself. And so we've got to stop giving credence to the lie. There is no emergency. This is not about solving problems. This is about taking power. He is trying to distract us, and he is trying to seize power in the capital city. And if this were a story being told in any other nation, it would be that the regime head has now occupied the federal seat of power with the military, that he got his cronies to send. That's what he did.
California lawmakers passed a bill criminalizing law enforcement officers hiding their faces. Let me explain. Senate Bill 627, otherwise known as the No Secret Police Act, was passed by California lawmakers and sent to Governor Gavin Newsom for approval. The bill makes it a violation, punishable as an infraction or misdemeanor, for law enforcement officers to wear a mask, false whiskers, or any personal disguise with the intent to evade recognition. It applies to local, state, and federal law enforcement operating in California. State Senator Scott Wiener, one of the bill's authors, said in a press release, "Today's passage of Senate Bill 627 sends a clear and unequivocal message. California will not tolerate secret police." In the same press release, Wiener addressed ICE raids, specifically those that occurred in early summer 2025, and how the masking of enforcement agents' identities put Californians at risk. The bill provides exemptions for face coverings, including those worn by SWAT teams, officers on undercover assignments, N95 masks, and other protective equipment used in extreme conditions. If signed by Governor Newsom, the bill states it would go fully into effect by July 1st, 2026. However, it also includes an urgency clause, meaning parts of the bill are intended to take effect immediately upon enactment. Newsom has until October 10th to sign the bill. Some opponents, such as Assemblyman Tom Lackey, fear the bill will create hostility toward law enforcement. Lackey reported to a local news agency, wearing a face covering is often done to protect the officers and their families, not to avoid accountability. Supporters such as Christine Soto de Berry, executive director of Prosecutors Alliance Action, said, "As long as masked anonymous agents are raiding our communities with no accountability, the public and law enforcement officers themselves will be at risk." What do you think of the No Secret Police Act? Let us know in the comments.
What's happening right now upends our entire Constitution. People are being stopped without probable cause, without reasonable suspicion, without articulable facts other than the color of their skin. It's wrong.
It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And to this president who called himself, this is a convicted felon. Let's call it out. And how dare he attack the very fabric of what makes California great.
This is a betrayal of the Constitution, a betrayal of our values, and a betrayal of the people and everybody that you see here behind me and the folks that we represent every single day.
Trump's war on immigrants was never about safety. This confirms it. It was always about racism and intimidating workers.
And for those of us who are in suits today, yes, maybe we won't be pulled into a car, but we could be if we change our clothes, if we change where we're walking. And for any of you who think that, oh, it's not me because I stand with this group, don't be fooled.
It's time for the trucker John live stream. Gonna be a good time, oh yeah. The trucker John live stream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John live stream. It's gonna be a good time. The time of your life. Gonna talk some shit, hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the Trucker John live stream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John live stream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for, Trucker John.
All right, test. Test. Can you hear me? All right, I think I hear myself. Good morning. It's 11:29 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. I don't know if there's a little smudge on my camera. Look, does it look a little hazy? I don't know. But we're going to go with it. It might be an improvement. I got the Kerry Lake Vaseline filter. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us for a little bit on this beautiful Saturday. Now, I'm not able to go again, the chat, it just moved and it disappeared. I saw earlier, I think Sandy First was first. I mean, now I'm calling her Sandy First. Sandy Foltz, see? I think Sandy Foltz was first. And looked like Paul Burrows and the usual suspects. I saw that Wes has made a presence. I do think he did a $1.11 super chat, I think so, or maybe he took it off because it's showing zero. I don't know. I thought I saw that. I saw a bunch of, I don't know if it was drama, but it's all disappeared right now. A lot of your chats are just, I can't see them. They've gone away from the screen and I can't go back. So anyhow, I'll start off with Deva Murphy says, Are we paying for those dinners? I'm not sure what that was in reference to. maybe on the intro, people were talking about the grifting of Trump, and we're paying for everything. We're paying for it all. Brooklyn SKU, SJU, aka Trixie LaRue is here. Hey, Brooklyn, good to see you. Jolie's here. Hey, Jolie, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Damon Dog, the big dog, is here. We got Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Alton Gillespie is here. Hey, Alton. Nice seeing you. There's Aaron West. So we are at full mod capacity. Got Aaron and Jolie both here. Thank you so much. AM is here. AM says, hello, TJ and fellow loungers. Luck Dragon is here. It says, is Johnny Million going to go live? If so, I'm probably going to play guitar with him because I am kind of tired of Epstein and Charlie. We shouldn't be tired of Epstein because Epstein has really taken a back seat to all this Charlie Kirk shit. We really should be refocusing on Epstein. I don't know. I had Hal on my TV, and I just let it. I haven't, I didn't change it up, but his like end screen is still on, which is weird. Michael Andrews is in there, and he says, "I'm a visitor," and then Andrea has a heart or something. So it's kind of weird. I guess Hal's thing didn't shut off. I don't even know. I guess Johnny was going on. So yeah, you got some choices to make today, but that's the way it always is. Damon Dog, like number 28. Damon Dog, thanks so much for giving me that like, subscribe, and share. We got 44 watching, only 35 thumbs ups. Right now, we are acting like a bunch of Republicans, and that's no bueno. We're operating at a deficit. So let's make sure you hit that thumbs up button and at least get us to a balanced budget. At least. Roxanne79 says, I ended up picking her up and taking her home. See, I'm already mid-thread because the chat, the display, I have to try to paint the picture for you guys because I don't know if you understand what's going on, if I'm describing it right. But, on my iPad, I have the little chat screen on the side, right? And it automatically, it scrolls up, and then once it goes past where I can't see it anymore, that's it. It's gone. So I'm mid-thread. I don't know what Roxanne was talking about. Maybe Daisy. I'm guessing maybe Daisy we're talking about. Jim of the Base says, Roxanne79, who is walking who? Who is walking who, baby? It should be whom. Who is walking whom, by the way? Who is the person doing the action? Whom is who the action is being done to? Anyhow, Michael McAndrew says here's heroes are standing up against Trumpy and his clan. We need more heroes. We can never have enough or too many heroes in this situation. We need to all stand up against that motherfucker. Yeah, Brooklyn's saying hi. Let's see. So everyone's still saying hi. I guess we're still relatively early in the chat, even though a good portion of it has disappeared from my screen, and I am unable to retrieve it or see it. Let's see here. Yeah, Luck Dragon's here. Reno's here. No fights. All right. I swear to God, I need new glasses. I think it says no flights from red states. Maybe that's in the intro when Jen Psaki was talking about, that viruses, they don't. The reason we have a national healthcare system and CDC and we do things federally is because viruses don't care about state lines. So it's all fine and dandy and well and good that California, Oregon, and Washington are forming their own health alliance, and then those states she had mentioned in the Northeast are probably going to follow suit. That's all fine and dandy, but that doesn't stop someone from coming in from fucking Florida or Texas or some other back-assward state, coming in fully blown COVID or some shit, and and spreading it. So I'll keep saying it. Elections have consequences. Voting matters. People, stop voting for these goddamn Republicans. But it's too late now. I mean, as far as where we are right now, we just have to look to the future and get ready to vote. David Dog, I wonder if TJ will be wearing a Dodger hat today. Since I've moved here, I haven't worn my Dodger hat. My Dodger hats and stuff are in a box. I should probably break them out. Start wearing the Dodger hats. I think that could be some of the problems the Dodgers are having, because I haven't been wearing my Dodger hat. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to dig them out of the box, start wearing the Dodger hat. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's see. Teresa TAK is here. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the Old Drivers Lounge. Always good to see Teresa. Just scrolling down a little bit. Seeing if I can get to a little bit more current stuff here in the chat room. Everyone is saying hi, which is fine and dandy. It's fine and dandy. I'm just scrolling down. I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling down to you. James Jaramillo is here. Hey, James, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the Old Drivers Lounge. I do appreciate you coming on in, hanging out on this Saturday afternoon. Okay, I'm just now in the chat where the super chat went up, because Aaron says the super chat goal is up. LFG. Michael McAndrews, Kirk was a Nazi. And my Facebook friends and family are just, they just think it's appalling that, if you bring that up, if you bring up anything that he said, all the racist, bigoted, homophobic, horrible shit that he was all about. They just can't handle it. Then they want to accuse you of, being hateful. I was going to show a couple of things. So here's this graphic here, and it's kind of, how memes can be kind of, I guess, funny or whatever. It has the little arrow, and it says that number of deaths in 2025. And that one little where the arrow is, that's the one where Charlie Kirk was killed. But folks, we've got a gun problem. You see all the gun deaths there with the red. Charlie Kirk didn't give a fuck about any of that. He said that's the price we got to pay. It's an acceptable price for us to pay to have our Second Amendment. And when you point that out to the followers of Charlie Cook or Charlie Kirk, was there a Charlie Cook? Probably. Of Charlie Kirk. They don't want to hear it. They want to come at you. If you point out that, Charlie Kirk said, hey, It's just these are acceptable losses. We're going to have to take, people are going to have to die. That's acceptable. It's okay in order for us to have that right, that Second Amendment right. And when you bring that up to them, they just lose their shit, man. They lose their fucking shit. They can't handle the truth. They really can't. Someone walked by, and, I'm always like the squirrel that sees the shiny object. Teresa TAK says, sadly, my sister, younger than me by 1 year, blamed the left for Charlie Kirk's death without the facts. Well, they all did, and they all took the lead from Nancy Mace and Donald Trump. Donald Trump came right out and started blaming the Democrats. Nancy Mace said, Democrats own this. And then all the right-wing pundits didn't even know who the shooter was, and they were already blaming the Democrats and the left and the leftists, the liberals. Charlie Kirk's body wasn't even cold yet. Rigor mortis hadn't even set in yet. And they were blaming the left. And as we see, the shooter was this Mormon guy, young man, grew up in a family not only of Mormons but of Republicans, where the grandmother said, we're all Republicans. We all voted for Trump, every single one of us. He comes from a family of, if not maggots, certainly Republicans. They're lifelong Republicans. They're red or dead Republicans, or whatever. They will not vote for anything else other than Republican, no matter how shitty that Republican is, even to the point of being a Nazi fascist dictator wannabe like Donald Trump. That's where this guy came from. That's where this shooter comes from. Deborah Murphy says, please, Turning Point. See, it's doing it again, guys. It's doing it again. I guess I can't read. I'm going to have to read like at the bottom of the screen. But now these are just short little ones. Michael says, Sicko Miller. Damon Dog says, bullshit. These are responses to the intro. I think the Stephen Miller part was getting people going there. Our Way Man's here. I don't know if I've seen Our Way Man before. Michael McAndrews, the Penis 2025 project. Michael McAndrews says Miller has a manifesto. I think it's called Project 2025. Ruben Michael says Stephen Nazi bastard Miller, even his parents disowned him. And Stephen Miller's another like sweetheart of the right. Like, he was the Charlie Kirk, before Charlie Kirk. He was this young, Republican or right wing, just out of college. Somehow he got on like Fox News. I don't even know how he did that, and they loved him. Like, they showed clips. I think there was one last week I showed when he was on. He actually had hair. I think he was still in college, and he was, he was on Fox News. They were asking him questions, and they loved him. They fell in love with him. Hey, William's here. Good to see William. Thanks for coming on in the old driver's lounge. I do appreciate you. Luck Dragon says it's 11:20, so I am 26 minutes behind. I'm 26 minutes behind. Just in case anyone's wondering, why am I, referencing chats that were like a half hour ago? David in Grand Prairie, Texas says teachers and U.S. military are already getting fired for their free speech. Yeah, lots of people are. That's not the America that I know. But these fucking Charlie Kirk fucking fascist followers, they're fine with it. They're fine with the fascism until it at some point gets turned against them, and by then it's too late. Did you guys happen to catch the this morning? I saw Charlie Kirk's widow put out a video where she's standing, because at first I was wondering, why does she have a podium but there's a chair and a microphone right there, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's Charlie's seat, and so she's doesn't want to sit in it. That's that was his where he did a show from. So she has this little podium, and she was reading this prepared statement, and look, hey, she's a grieving widow, and I'm not completely heartless. I mean, she's a grieving widow, and she has a right to grieve, but also, she knew what she was getting into, and she, as she was doing this sort of kind of a memorial, or almost not quite a eulogy, but as she was, talking about her husband and all this stuff, I was just thinking, oh my God, she's just like him. I mean, she wasn't just like in the background, and having babies for this guy. I mean, she's just like him. And I can see she's going to take over the reins. And really what this little video was that she did was a way of coming out and saying, hey, we're not going anywhere. So she was trying to make sure that the gravy train didn't go off the tracks. That's what that was. It was less about really memorializing her husband, her dead husband. It was more about letting all the Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk fans and sycophants, it was reassuring them, hey, we're not going anywhere, so you guys keep those dollars coming in. I mean, Charlie Kirk, it was reported that he's a multimillionaire. Charlie Kirk became a multimillionaire from his, I guess, his podcast. And I mean, I don't know if if he was backed, if he got funded or backed by some big, right-wing donor or organization. I don't know, but it was just reported that he is a multimillionaire, and Turning Points USA is a pretty huge network, and they're everywhere, and they have chapters set up all across the country. I mean, it's kind of amazing, and it's kind of creepy, I think. And this woman, who I would love to have some sympathy for, the widow, but as I was watching her video, she just was creeping me out. I was getting less and less sympathetic as the video went on, and I was just getting creeped out. I was like, oh my God, this really isn't about Charlie so much as it's about saving Turning Point USA and making sure that doesn't go away. And not really because she believes in the cause. I think she believes in the money that it brings in. So anyhow, I have a feeling, I don't even know her name. She probably said her name. I don't know. I'm Mrs. Kirk, I guess, but I don't even know her first name, but I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more of her. She's going to be sitting in that chair before you know it, and taking over the show. Whether or not the fans or followers will stay with her, who knows? But it was kind of creepy. I thought it was kind of creepy. Roxanne says, "Did he refer to the church as she?" Oh yeah, that's the Pope during the intro, and I said the same thing when I was watching that for the first time. I heard him say that, I go, "Did he just say she?" But I mean, I guess that was a common thing to assign like a gender, to things, to like boats and cars or I guess in churches. It might be a little old timey. Maybe people don't do it as much anymore, but yeah, but that kind of perked my ears up, or Michael McAndrew says Trumpy is instigating violence again. What's new? Teresa TAK says Stacey Abrams is spot on. I like her. Yeah, I like her too. I think she's pretty spot on. James Jaramillo says AM Trump was voted out and we got J6. It may have to be more than voting, just saying. Well, let's hope not. I mean, I'm not hoping for violence. Reno says Slouchface wants martial law. Yeah, he wants martial law. He wants things to get so crazy, and really, for him, it doesn't even have to be that crazy, for him to want to declare, a national emergency. How finally went off. VD Hertz says I saw a poll, Newsom versus Vance, hypothetical, not good. Youth are in the cult. Yeah, it's kind of scary. The youth, they're going. See, these right wingers, though, they're smart. They're going after the youth vote. We need to go after the youth vote. We got enough old fogies like me. We need to go after the youth vote. Ruben Michael says Trump awards the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk posthumously. He joins Rush Limbaugh, Rudy Giuliani, and Jim Jordan. Trump tarnishes the medal. Did Jim Jordan get one too? Jim Jordan got one? What did he get one for? For bravely not reporting sexual assault in the locker room? Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Williams says that the Philly DA, Larry Krasner, said he will prosecute any ICE agents who violate the law. So it's funny, Luck Dragon and VD Hertz, they seem to have a common problem. Common issue. David Grand Prairie, Texas says test. Oh no. Julie says soft focus look. It's lovely. Yeah, look at there. So yeah, there's the gun deaths. Boy, we are a red country. Now what else do I got? There was another thing I wanted to bring up. Okay, so this is, I had that in the intro. This is Melissa and Mark Hortman. This is the couple that was murdered by a right-wing registered Republican Trump supporter a few months ago. Trump has not said anything publicly that I have know of. No Medal of Freedom for them. Nothing. No flags at half staff. Nothing. Crickets for these two people here. I've seen some clips of her. She seems like a lovely lady who really cared about the people of Minnesota. I'm sure she cared about all people, but you know, she was a Minnesotan state legislator. Not a peep from Donald Trump or anyone from the right side of the aisle or whatever. The right-wing pundits, nothing. Barely a blip. Even the mainstream media was barely a blip. I mean, that was a story that it got one day coverage and that was it. Now, I have seen, you know, I guess thanks to Charlie Kirk, this has all resurfaced. Because people are saying, hey, wait a minute. You had Air Force Two come down to pick up Charlie Kirk's body to fly him back to Arizona. And you put the flags at half staff and you're going to give him the Medal of Freedom and you're all this shit for this fucking, you know, right-wing Nazi podcaster who was never elected to anything. And then you have an actual Minnesota state legislator who we know was murdered by a right-wing fanatic. And you say nothing? You do nothing? And so when this has all come out, I've seen more posts about Melissa and Mark Hortman in these last 3 days than I did in the entire, 3 months since they were murdered. And did anyone hear any Democrats or liberals just immediately come out and start saying this is a war and we're gonna go to war, or any of that kind of shit? Did the Democrats come out with that kind of rhetoric? No, they didn't. Hey, Squirrel Girl's here. Good to see you, Squirrel Girl. Thanks for joining us in the chat room today. I do appreciate you. But by the looks of things, we are going to become a red country. If you look at that chart at the top there. And that's not good. I tell people, vote blue no matter who. Let's get an assault weapons ban. We'll see those red dots. We'll see half of them go away probably overnight. Maybe not overnight, but you know what I mean. DPD 5844 says, why did the Yankees and the Washington Commanders extend a moment of silence for Kirk? Before I read anything else, I'm going to tell you, because they're fucking Republican owned. These owners are all fucking billionaire Republicans. And all these Republicans are fucking dirtbags. That's why. All right, continuing on with the post there, with DPD 5844's post. It says, why are Democratic governors lowering the flag at half-mast for Kirk? This is extremely upsetting and disturbing. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they are, but if they are, then I would agree. That's disturbing. They should just. I don't think they should. I think they should say, no, we're not going to do that. I don't think they can. I don't think Trump can make the governors or do that. I don't think he can do that, right? So yeah, if they're doing that, then that's I would not be happy with that. AM says, I'm staying here. I enjoy lounging with the loungers. Thank you, AM. I appreciate you. Lounging. BD Hurt says, Hamilton, the highest grossing play this century, a play about political violence. Yeah. I'm not sure what the point is, but I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, the Aaron Burr thing, yeah. Jen at the base says that Trucker John, 11:34 a.m. TJ, the grammar snob, to whom it may concern. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I guess, yeah, that's funny though. BD Hertz, George Wallace, former governor of Alabama, shot political violence. He was a full-blown racist. I remember I was alive when that happened. I saw that on the news when that happened. And yeah, George Wallace was a full-blown racist. I don't condone shooting, though. I don't advocate, and I never did. Even as a, I don't forget exactly what year that was. I was a young kid, and I knew, and I was, but I was well enough, not knowledgeable enough and aware enough to know that George Wallace was a racist. I was no fan of him, even as 8-year-old or 9-year-old or however old I was. But still, I thought it was awful. I thought it was scary. I grew up in the '60s. JFK, MLK, RFK, all assassinated in full view of the world. And then Wallace, I think Wallace was that like 72 or something? So I was like 12. Lots of violence on TV. It was all televised, I'm not sure the point. I don't know if you're trying to make the point that we've had violence, political violence, all throughout our history. I mean, look at Abraham Lincoln. Shit. We had, So, and is the point that we've survived it? Or we've managed to survive it so far. DPD 5844 says James Jaramillo, Moore, Shapiro, and Pritzker all lowered the flag. I think that's disappointing. I don't think they should have done that. Why lower the flag for just a podcaster, even without the politics, even if he was a left-wing you know, liberal, progressive, you know. I wouldn't expect them to lower. You know, what if Tom Hartman was assassinated? Okay, or something like that. I mean, who, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm trying to think of an equivalent to Charlie Kirk, but or even okay, like Bernie. Well, Bernie Sanders is an actual senator, so I could see them doing it for a senator. But yeah, it just maybe they have to. I don't know. Is there? But I'm a little disappointed in that. Wes Webb is back. Says, "Is this live? And am I here?" I'll let you figure that out on your own, Wes. Okay, let's see if you figure it out. Michael McAndrew says, "I could understand the flags being lowered for kids that have been murdered." Yeah, I could see that. Jim B says, "Dodgers hats in a box somewhere, right where they should be." Did the Dodgers win last night? I know TJ was excited for the Dodgers sweep. Don't ask me a question that you already know the answer to. Okay. This is not a you're not a lawyer, and this is not a court of law. You know where they say don't ever ask a question that you don't already know the answer to. Okay, this is not a court of law, and I don't believe you're a lawyer. Maybe you are a lawyer. I don't know. But don't ask me a question that you already know the answer to. Okay, you know damn well who won last night. Don't ask me that. I know it's rhetorical, I guess, but we're still going for the next 2-game sweep here. We're going to sweep the next 2 games. There's Wes Webb with the $1.11 super chat. I thought you did one earlier, but maybe that was the one I saw. So thank you, Wes Webb. Yippee to you, Wes Webb. Thanks for helping to support the show with that $1.11. It's going to go a long way. Every little bit helps. But I do appreciate you. Luck Dragon says, everybody do yourself a favor and do not watch Bill Maher's show last night with Ben Shapiro. It will make you sick. Now I've got to watch it. When someone says don't watch something, because of this or that, now I've got to watch it. But I don't really watch the show. Sometimes I watch the clips of the shows, and it is stomach turning. Bill Maher. Sandy Folt says, I'm in Arcade at the train station. Oh, nice. That's right. Sandy was taking a train ride today. Roxanne says, F. Bill Maher. I haven't watched him in a long time. Reno, I don't miss Charlie. Who's Charlie? Oh, Charlie. Oh, you don't miss Charlie. Already. I'm already saying who's Charlie. Yeah. That's how long he stayed in my memory there. VD Hertz says CNN, HBO, all the same, majority owned by MAGA billionaire John Malone. All this consolidation of ownership with our media. The bad thing about it is that you have just a handful of people that can control the message. And that's not really good. Ruben Michael says, I have collected his hateful comments and videos. Kirk was not a good person at all. No, he was not good. And my family and friends on Facebook that seem to really love the guy and are really shaken and upset about his death. That's fine. But don't try to act like he was this great person, because he wasn't. They are deifying him. They are putting him up I mean, you would almost think he was the second coming of Jesus, for Christ's sakes. The way they are, this memorializing of him, like, oh, he was such a good Christian. If that's a good Christian, if Charlie Kirk is because I'm not questioning whether or not he was a Christian. If someone says they're a Christian, okay, you're a Christian. But if that's their idea of a good Christian, then Christianity sucks. In my opinion. I mean, could any of them have the courage? Could any of these Charlie Kirk sycophants have the courage to say, Charlie, he was a Christian, but he sure didn't live like it. He sure didn't say a lot of Christian things. But they won't do that. They won't say anything like that. They won't admit that Charlie Kirk promoted things from his platform that were antithetical, is that the right word, to the teachings of Christ. Karen Ames is here. Hey, Karen, good to see you. Thanks for dropping on into the old driver's lounge. Haven't seen Karen in a while. Ruben Michael says, Russian Tim Pool said the shooter was living with a trans. That sounds like directly from the mouth of Vladimir Putin. It sounds like something that motherfucker would say. And of course, we have evidence to the contrary. I mean, he was living with, I think he was still living with his folks, 22 years old. I think he was still living with his folks in basically just near St. George, Utah is where it was. And as far as I know, he was not trans, or not living with a trans person, as far as I know. That has not been reported anywhere else other than Tim Pool, probably. Thomas Walker's here. Hey, Thomas Walker. Thanks for joining us here in the driver's lounge. Good to see you. Says, tell them stay out of my grill, MAGA. Now, Wes Webb says the kid didn't shoot. It was Grandpa. Well, it didn't look like Grandpa jumping down off the roof there. I think Grandpa would have broke a hip or something. How did he, kudos though to the kid, I guess. Like, they didn't show him climbing up there. How the hell did he get up there? Maybe there was a door or a window from the other. Maybe he just walked, because it did show him. There were pictures of him in a staircase, but he wasn't carrying a weapon in those pictures. I think those might have been after. I don't know, because he jumped down and run into the woods. I don't know, man. But I don't think it was Grandpa. MJ Daniels here. MJ says they have a narrative already about Democrats and liberals giving themselves permission for violence. Luck Dragon says, out of all the elderly people I know who like to bitch and complain about everything, Donald Trump is the best. DPD5844 says, what I find so fascinating is the fact that no flags were flown at half-mast for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, or Trayvon Martin, Martin, right? Where are their medals of honor? It's funny how American honors scum. Well, for one thing, those were all way early in the game. Like we've evolved to where we are. Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Hello to you. Michael McAndrews, will Trump give him a sweetheart deal so he will say that he is a liberal? So are you asking if Trump will give the shooter a sweetheart deal if the shooter claims to be a liberal? I think that's what you're saying. From what I understand, these are state. He's being arrested by the state. Although Governor Cox, very appropriately named, seems to be very much of a big fan of Charlie Kirk. And so he might, and therefore, and also, probably Trump. Dang. So, maybe they'll do it that way. Go through the governor there. Charlie lost that debate by a long shot. What? Too soon? I don't know. Guess probably not too soon. I don't know. I think people were making jokes about him leaning to the left, like the very day that happened. So. Look, Dragon says, Donald Trump causes me to complain about everything, and I made up a comedy routine? Fafo party. Wes Webb says, death is the most certain of thieves. Karen Ames says, Stephen Miller went to Santa Monica, his was it high school, and nobody liked him then. But the right-wing media sure did fall in love with him. Yeah, he was saying all the shit they like to hear. Vidi Hertz, political violence in every decade of U.S. history. Yeah, we are a violent nation. But it happens in all nations. All nations have history of political violence. VD Hertz says Charlie made $400,000 spewing hate. VD Hertz says $400,000 a year. And I have a feeling that the widow is really wanting to make sure that they keep that gravy train going and growing. That's what I was getting out of her little video that she put out this morning. I don't know if no one has said that they saw it. Am I the only one that saw it? Or the only one that cared to watch it? A lot of you may have seen it on your feeds and like, I'm not watching this. And that was probably a smart thing. VD Hertz, his security detail too cheap to buy a drone with a camera on it. Yeah, really, that's all, because I was thinking like, I was wondering why there weren't helicopters or just a helicopter, sort of surveilling. And then I thought, well, the helicopter would be, local police, sheriff department. And I was thinking, so they probably weren't even thinking that they would need to even be there just for a college event with Charlie Kirk. They probably didn't think it was that big of a deal. So they're not going to spend, because it costs money to fuel up those helicopters and then, pay people to fly them and all that kind of shit. But a drone, yeah, like I said, drones are fucking cheap, relatively speaking. They could have had a dude with the drone circling around, checking out rooftops. That's a big oops. That's a big oopsie. Oopsie. Petey Hearst says net worth $12 million, paid himself $407 per year. Oh, he paid himself. Well, so he is a multimillionaire. So the reporting, according to Petey Hearst, if you're, and I trust you pretty much. The reports I heard was that he's a multimillionaire, and I would say that checks. That checks, you know. AM says it's scary that Mr. Kirk had over 800 chapters nationwide. All of those students were being indoctrinated to hate and just. See, I have to read fast because the thing's moving and it disappears. But yeah, they have 800 chapters. I didn't know how many chapters, but I knew they had chapters all across the country. You know, and that's why. And they were, you know, motivating a lot of those kids to vote and to vote for Republicans and vote for Trump. And that's why Trump liked Charlie Kirk so much. And that's really probably the only reason he liked him, which is good enough, I guess. It's good enough reason, you know. If someone is getting you votes, you know, that's a good enough reason to like them. David, I can't believe she actually had sex with him twice. Westwood, how do you not know name? How do you not name names? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Go smoke another bowl, Wes. If you're not going to donate more money, just go. No, I'm just kidding. Just get out of here and go smoke another bowl. Just kidding. VD Hertz says, I had a friend who went MAGA. He stopped believing in medicine, died of prostate cancer, but before that, he walked into his wife having sex with his best friend. That's MAGA. And then it would be funny if VD Hertz says, and I was the best friend. No. Luck Dragon says, you don't know that he was getting backed by Russia the whole time. We need Snowden now. Snowden, poor old Snowden. We haven't heard from him in a long time. I wonder why. I have a feeling Snowden is not around. Let's just say that. MJ Daniel says, in spite of Kirk being the woman, in spite of Kirk being the woman's place is in the home type, guess that stuff only applies to others. Well, I guess because he's dead, and then I guess she can get away with, you know, taking over. Ruben Michael says her name is Erica Frantzvi Kirk, former MAGA Miss Arizona. Now, this is me. You're probably gonna think I'm stupid for asking. Was she just Miss Arizona? And you're saying MAGA because Arizona, whatever. Even though Arizona is kind of a blue state, if you look at the governor and senators. Or do they actually have a MAGA pageant? Which I wouldn't be surprised. And she won the Miss MAGA Arizona. I mean, it sounds funny to me. It sounds hilarious. Michelle says exactly 100%. We need to vote back better. VD Hertz says, I see a lot of polls. Trump is in the gutter, but Dems aren't soaring likewise. So many people, most people don't really watch the news or keep up with the stuff, and they just get headlines, or they get, you know, they don't really pay attention to this stuff. So they just think everyone's bad, you know, for the most part. Trump is bad, and so are the Democrats. I mean, they lump there is no nuance. There is no, it's all bad. All politics are bad. All politicians are bad. All Republicans are bad. All Democrats are bad. They just, you know, they don't take the time to discern between the groups and the factions. Luck Dragon says, I love watching TJ because he is a constant test on my short-term memory. Better than Candy Crush. DPD 5844 says, look at what the Nazi Gestapo did in Chicago. They shot and killed a man because he was too slow in the pulling over of his vehicle. Yeah, I think you brought that up, or someone did the other day. And yeah, it's horrible. Brooklyn SJU, aka Trixie LaRue, says, where's Taylor Swift when we need her? She's getting married, apparently. Another thing that the right wing gets upset about for some reason. Who gives a fuck who she gets married to? They do. They give a fuck. Jen Up the Base says that Wes Webb, I think VD is a very informed and brings a lot to the discussion and the community, Wes. That's my experience. Wes Webb, Uncle Al was not all bad, laughing out loud. Who's Uncle Al? Oh, I shouldn't have read that. I guess I wasn't supposed to read that. Uncle Albert, but we haven't done a bloody thing all day. Whoa, yeah, Uncle Albert. Michael McAndrews says, is Miller going after the right-wing terrorists? Oh, isn't that adorable? That's an adorable question. VD Hertz says, I worked with youth 2 winters ago, so fairly recently. Sadly, all were MAGA. All were on prescribed psych drugs too. Unreal. Well, there could be a connection there. That could be the connection. Michelle, Nancy Mace didn't hear from you then either. No, she didn't listen to me. Someone walked by my window or rolled by. I don't know. Martin Gingerich says, Boomer alert. Hey, Martin, good to see you. Thanks for coming on into the Old Driver's Lounge. I do appreciate you. I don't know if you're talking about you being the boomer or me being the boomer, or both, or all. I don't know. MJ Daniel says that DJT took time while blaming Democrats and lionizing Kirk to shit on Tim Walz. Yeah. As one does, Thomas Walker says, I'm an old dog who will not change my ways and drink the MAGA poison. Good for you. Me either, I think. VD Hertz says high school graduating class of 2025 had the lowest aptitude test scores ever. I think I blame ChatGPT for that. GTP. Ruben Michael, people coming in with some research here. Ruben Michaels says Kirk's wife holds a doctorate in biblical studies from Liberty University. Weird. Oh yes, the much ballyhooed Liberty University. Ooh yes. Isn't that James somebody's church? One of those fuckers. Roxanne79 says, VD, I'm not shocked. Dumbest generation is yet to come. This is just the beginning. They got rid of sex ed and encyclopedias to name a few, making us more unsafe with a flock of new, stupid, knocked up kids. And get off my lawn while you're at it. There. V.D. Hertz says that Reagan started dismantling the public education system. The class of '79 had the highest aptitude test scores. Guess what year I graduated from? From class of '79. Class of '79. That's right. Mr. Spock, live long and prosper. Good to see you. Why am I getting? I should be getting better at this. Anyhow, you know what I mean. Thanks, Mr. Spock, for being here. Is TJ behaving himself? Oh, behave. Or something like that. Oh, behave. Damon Dog, I've cleaned my glasses twice and TJ is still a little blurry. Yeah, well, I mentioned that earlier. I think there's something on my screen and I'm afraid to rub it because I might hit the end button or something and then the show will just be over. So it is what it is. V.D. Hertz asks, where is the line between Kirk and Hitler when people's lives start getting affected? The line is the law. Am I that blurry? I know. I mean, whatever. I mean, all right. Look, all right, guys. All right. Look, I'm gonna see if I can clean this off without ending the show. All right. Let's see if this is any better. Is that better? I think it is better. Is that better? I think it might be. Got my Randy Rhoads shirt on today. Let me know if that's any better. I think it did. I think that did wonders. V.D. Hertz says Tyler Robinson wasn't even a beneficiary of MAGA hate, perhaps a splinter opposition group. Apparently, he's a groiper, which, as of, was it yesterday? I'd never heard of a groiper before yesterday. V.D. Hertz says Hitler took power in 1933. Kristallnacht wasn't until 1938. Trump's plans are ahead of schedule. Paul Burrows just says, just got back from delivering elk burger to a client. Sorry you missed me. 12:07 Pacific. Wow, am I that far behind? I am pretty far behind. I'm like a half hour behind. Let's see. Mr. Spock, I think it's lunchtime. Gonna go eat a sandwich. Ruben Michael says, I was 18 when MLK was killed, stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. There was a riot on post. Windows broke out at the NCO Club and the Enlisted Man's Club, 1968. Yeah, it was a horrible, horrible thing, man. I was 8. So we were about 10 years apart in age, Ruben. I was about 8 when that happened, I believe. Or maybe I was 7 going on 8. Was that April of 68? So I was still 7. I didn't turn 8 until October. But I remember it. I remember RFK too. VD Hertz, I think MAGA is a blowback from the wrong reaction to 9/11. I don't know. I never really thought of it like that. I've just sort of thought of it as just a natural, or maybe not natural, but this regression, like of going from bad to worse to worse to worse. You know, like from W to Trump. You know, like from Tea Party to MAGA. It's just been getting, worse and worse and worse. Jen at the base says, Trucker John, not a lawyer, but as well as siring a chef. I also sired a Harvard Law grad, so I got a guy. Luck Dragon says, don't worry, guys. Erica Kirk's children will be in the best hands of the most qualified psychiatrist to help them realize their father was wrong. I don't know what's going to happen to those poor kids. They're going to grow up around all this weird, right-wing Nazi bullshit. Resist Evolve is here. Hey, Resist Evolve. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for joining us in the driver's lounge. Resist Evolve says, Bill Maher just had Woody Allen on his podcast. He doesn't ask him about any of the controversial stuff he's been involved in. So he just sort of like, just overlooked that. But I'm sure that was the agreement beforehand. It was like, can we have you on? Yeah, as long as you don't ask me about any of the shit about me, molesting kids or whatever. Damon Dog, the big dog, member for 10 months. Yippee to Damon Dog. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. Says safe driving award, please. All righty, there you go. Are you a safe driver? Yeah, for 10 months of safe driving. So thank you so much. We got Damon Dog, a member, Brooklyn SJU, aka Trixie LaRue, member for 6 months. I'm proud to be a truckler. Thank you to Trixie LaRue, to Brooklyn. Yippee! Goes out to you. We've got memberships, folks, for starting at as low as $1.99 a month. Can you Can you find a better value anywhere? I doubt it. And we've got two members right there, Damon Dog the Big Dog and Brooklyn SJU, aka Trixie LaRue. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate you for helping support the show. VD Hertz says South Park already folded into the Kirk situation. And I heard that they pulled the show. I don't know if that was Comedy Central's decision or whoever, but I heard that they yanked it off the air. Resist Evolved, I know. Can we even think of a conservative who did some charity work or something? Well, there probably are, you know. I mean, I'm sure there are. You know, I am skipping down in the chat. Just I'm so behind in the chat. So, AM says I read that the felon in chief did order the U.S. and Illinois to lower their flags until Sunday in honor of Mr. Kirk revolting. Yeah, the president ordered it. It came down from the top. I don't know if a governor is like, if it's the law that the governor has to do that or not. I don't know. You know, has to follow that order. Luck Dragon says, you guys don't realize that between Soros, John Mulaney, Elon Musk, they are playing a game of pickleball. Is John Mulaney the comedian? The stand-up comedian? Are you putting him in with Soros and Musk, or is that some other person? Because that doesn't make sense. It's like one of these things doesn't belong. Resist Evolve says this guy just got votes and money for the Republican Party, MAGA. Basically, isn't that what he did? He did. He was big in getting out the vote. Yeah, that's why Trump loved him. He got the youth vote. And probably lots of campaign financing too. MJ Daniels says, and I refuse to call any of them Christian. I do not care if they do themselves. They stand for the exact opposite of what Jesus of Nazareth taught. VD Hertz says Coke is worth $175 billion. That's with a B, billion with a B. That is 10 times more than Soros. Soros is just a pauper. At this point, Mr. Spock, hate begets hate. I think violence begets violence. Michelle says, I have drove a U-Haul over the mountains with my car on the back and drove a school bus. Awesome. Karen Ames has been doing probate stuff. Beauty Hurt says Larry Ellison is now the wealthiest. Musk is second, combined wealth close to $700 billion. Nice. Ruben Michaels says Timmy Pool lies about everything. Beauty Hurt stares. Yeah, I guess that's how he got up there. And then when he ran off, he just like jumped down. If we're talking about the shooter, because I am a half hour behind, so he took the stairs. Yeah, well, and if you gave me a minute, I did surmise that. which you probably did. I'm just reading stuff from a half hour ago. That happened a half hour ago. David Dog, buy a Bible, never open it. You're a Catholic. Only use the parts you like. You're an evangelical. Read it cover to cover, and you're an atheist. That's so funny. I think that's because there's a lot of truth to that. I think Pretty Hurts. He had a backpack. Yeah, I saw the pictures. But I don't think the rifle fit in his backpack. Well, was it one of those fancy kind that you got to like it breaks down and you put it together? Maybe that's what he had. Maybe it was one of those. Ray B is here. Hey, Ray B, good to see you. Thanks for joining us in the driver's lounge. Ray B says progressive political speakers must increase security measures. Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Damon Dog, I think talking about Trump, he wouldn't lower the flag for Jimmy Carter. Yeah. Despicable, disgusting Donald Trump. Didn't have any respect for Jimmy Carter. But the way they're carrying on about Charlie Kirk, you would think he was goddamn Jesus himself, or the Pope, or whoever, all rolled into one. I mean, my God, he's just a fucking podcaster who spewed, he spewed what they like, but he's not deserving of any of this special attention. He's not. He didn't do anything for this country. Nothing positive. Chris Doug, no moment of silence for Trump's friend of 25 years, Jeffrey Epstein. DPD says, TJ, how are you able to separate politics from your family? I have had friends go 10 to 20 years I have cut ties with. As a black woman, I can't do it. I also have cut ties with some family members. I had not spoken with my sister since 2016, or my brother. My sister and her family were invited to my daughter's wedding, which was last month, or it was July, so now it's almost 2 months now, over a month ago. And that's the first time I've seen my sister since 2016. But as soon as I saw her, I mean, I just went up and gave her a hug, and I just missed my sister, and I missed, it just all came rushing, like hadn't seen her in almost 10 years. I hadn't seen the kids in 10 years. So, I hugged her and just said, we need to put all this stuff behind us and we need to start seeing each other again and getting together for holidays and stuff. And she agreed. She said, yeah, we need to, it's just silly, so, man, I missed my sister and I missed my brother, and they're gonna be what they're gonna be, and I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be, and that's not, I'm not gonna change them. They're not gonna change me. So I think if we have an understanding, hey, we're just not gonna talk politics, and I think we can get along just fine. I mean, blood is thicker than anything else. It seems to be, at least for me so far. Richard is here. Hey, Richard from down under, the expat down there in Australia, says Utah is a state where oh no, Richard did. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Richard fell off there or what. Richard says Utah has a lot of Mormons. Yes, that's probably the most concentration of Mormons in the world is in Utah. That's their main headquarters. That's where they settled after Joseph Smith was killed and Brigham Young took over, and he led the church into Utah, trying to get away from pesky United States laws as much as they could, so they could be polygamists. Basically, it was about polygamy. And they got there, and Brigham Young said, "This is the place." They settled there in Salt Lake, and been there ever since. Karen Ames says Stephen Miller was picked on. He became worse, and even his uncle said so. So Stephen Miller's got this inferiority complex, and now that he is one of the most, believe it or not, he is now one of the most powerful men in the world because he has the president's ear, and he's in it every day. And Mr. Pliable Trump there is getting all of this inferiority complex from Stephen Miller. Right in there. So yeah, here's VD. Here it says from 2010 to 2020, Utah had the greatest percentage population growth of any state, about 832,000 new citizens. And I remember that because I was a truck driver, as you guys know, and I drove through Utah. It was one of my main routes, Interstate 15, which is right here in Vegas. It goes all the way through there. And I remember seeing the buildup of that Utah, right there where Utah Valley is, through Provo and Orem, south, sort of that I-15 corridor, south of Salt Lake, from Salt Lake to Provo. I saw all of these. To me, I don't know. I just kind of called it like Utah's Silicon Valley is what it kind of reminded me of, because all of these tech companies were moving there and building, multi-million-dollar facilities. Right, you can see right along the 15 freeway, and I remember that big growth spurt, and I knew a lot of people were coming in out of state, probably a lot of non-Mormons that were coming in out of state and moving there. And so for a while there, during that time, that 2010 to 2020 time, I was hopeful that maybe Utah might have had a chance of turning maybe a little, almost purplish, a little purplish maybe. I was hopeful of that. And I think I am kind of still hopeful of that, because I think there was some recent elections where someone won that was an upset, like a Democrat or something, in one of the, maybe a state seat or something, but I don't know. But I did see this big tech takeover or move into that I-15 corridor there, like I said, between Salt Lake and Provo. And I was thinking, this could turn the state a little, maybe have an outside chance of maybe turning purple someday. And those companies are still there, and those people are still moving in, and they're not Mormons now, unless they're converting them. I mean, who knows how many of them convert? I don't know. But the Mormon thing really is a big influence in those politics, for right-wing politics there. VD Hertz says, please watch National Archives. Don't be a sucker. It is a U.S. government warning from the late 1940s about exactly what MAGA is doing to the USA now. Wow. What's it called? Don't be a sucker? That would be interesting to watch. Sounds interesting. David in Grand Prairie, Texas says that Russian drones are invading Poland again, Romania too. You know, Putin's he's gonna fuck around and find out. He's not gonna only just have Ukraine kicking his ass. He's gonna have all of fucking Europe on him if he's gonna get totally reamed, which I'm only too happy to see. I think they should. Just all of Europe now should just fuck him up. Agoff Twitler's here. Hey, Agoff, good to see you. Agoff Twitler says both sides are bad. Narratives have two purposes. It creates apathy with moderates, liberals, and progressives, causing them not to vote. It also gives Republicans justification for voting for a bad guy. Well, I think it creates apathy for people who are already apathetic. We already have a huge apathetic problem. And then that just feeds into it. Damon Dog the Big Dog says a homeless man stopped by here and wanted to trim my bushes for $20. I told him yes, and he did my whole yard, everything. So I gave him $40. I was impressed. Says Damon Dog, how bad was my yard when homeless people think it needs work? Michael Andrews says Kirk and others got taken by the dark side, it seems. I don't know. Who knows what their motivation is? Sometimes I think most of it is about money. Like people see like someone like Rush Limbaugh making millions of dollars, and even Alex Jones making millions of dollars. One time Alex was making. Remember the money he was making? It was like so many millions and millions of dollars every month. I mean, it was disgusting. All of them, Glenn Beck, they become huge multi millionaires, and so I think people come up like Charlie Kirk. They see, they have the template is there, and they take that and then they put their own spin on it. I think that's all it's about, really. I think that's really all it's about. I don't think that they're true believers a lot of times. Maybe his followers are. They become true believers or whatever, but I don't really think that they are like true believers. I think that they just see that as a way of making money. All of them. Rush Limbaugh, I don't think Rush Limbaugh believed half the shit he said. I don't think Glenn Beck believes half the shit that he says. They know that they can put this bullshit out and people are willing to buy it. It's all about the money, man. And Charlie Kirk is no different, in my opinion. Chris Doug's here. Hey, Chris Doug, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Chris Doug says, I vehemently oppose Charlie Kirk, but never once had a violent thought about him and never wished him harm. Can we say the same about MAGA? Think Jan 6. Of course not. They're always spewing their hatred and their lust for violence. Saris is here. Hey, Saris, thanks for coming on in. Saris says Liberty U is a Falwell enterprise. Okay. I was thinking of like that other dude, but yeah, they're all talk about money, money. Those evangelicals, it's all about the money, man. All about the money. Karen Ames, class of 79 here. Yep. We're the smartest. We're the smartest in the whole world forever. VD's going to go, it simmer. It just said that you had the aptitude or something. I don't know. Roger Dodger's here. Hey, Roger Dodger. Roger Dodger says, I saw them for a week. Okay, I'm mid-thread now. I have been skipping down. So I don't know. I'm not going to read it because I don't know what that's about. Richard says America is unsafe because of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. We are very, very unsafe because we don't have common sense gun laws. You know, is it too much to ask for an assault weapons ban that was very, very effective from approximately 94 to 2004? Very, very effective in reducing mass shootings by a huge, huge percentage. Is it too much to ask for universal background checks? Something that like 85 or 90% of the American people agree with. So you would think it would be a no-brainer. But then that's when we get the money and politics things, and the money wins out over the people. Every time. The money always wins out. AM says, go ahead, and I'm going to edit here. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. TJ, you're class of 79. Yes. Class of 79 is fine. Sarah says class of 79, represent. See, we got a lot of class of 79s in here. Yeah. Did every school, I'm sure we all went to different schools, was your little motto, class of 79 is fine? We had that in our yearbook and everywhere. It was like, class of 79 is fine. I'm sure we weren't the only ones that were saying that. Swirl Girl says much better. Oh, I guess it's from when I wiped the lens. I must have put my big thumb on there or something at one point. Because I think it does look better. Swirl Girl says it's much better. Richard said the president of the NRA said the only way to get a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Yep. I've even quoted that in the last few days, I think. Susie Jones is here. Hey, Susie, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for hopping in to the driver's lounge. Susie says, hi, everyone. I am rolling outside chat with you guys when I get home. Oh, Susie Jones is rolling, as in driving, I guess. Luck Dragon says, I will fight anybody on the planet right now for $5,000. I don't know, will you? Mr. Spot, my right hand is better at it. Well, I am trying to use my right hand. My left hand is like completely no bueno on that. Hey, Mountain Bike Fan is here. Good to see Mountain Bike Fan. Thanks for coming on in. Mountain Bike Fan says, I didn't know what it meant until yesterday and had only heard of it somewhat. See, that's what happens when I'm mid-thread and I don't know. And plus, this is probably referring to something that I said or someone said a half hour ago or something. So, sorry about that. I don't know what that's about. Adolf Twitler says the day of the long knives was in 1936 when they started sending all the socialists to the camps, years before they started sending the Jewish people. Well, they had to start somewhere. You know. And Adolf Twitler says, then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that is attributed to Martin Niemöller, a very famous poem. And that we've been hearing that more and more and more over the last couple decades, probably. I think it was something that was laying, in the dusty drawer somewhere, that poem, somewhere after World War II. And then someone picked it up and dusted it off, and we've been hearing it more and more, probably since the George W. Bush administration. And then certainly with the first Trump administration, that poem is getting played and played and played more and more and more. Richard says Building 7 was a controlled demolition job. We talked about that on 9/11 a couple days ago. We were talking about some of that stuff. Mountain Bike Fan says, I agree with what Harry Shannon posted. Is it Shannon or Sisson? Anyhow, I don't support what happened to Charlie. Charlie supported what happened to Charlie. I took that meme and I posted it on Facebook. I don't think a lot of my family and friends were happy with that, but too bad. Too bad. I did skip down a lot because I'm really far behind, and we are at 2 hours, so I'm going to skip down a little bit. Ruben Michael says RFK stopped in my hometown on his train stop tour when I was home on leave heading to Vietnam. He was gone before I got there, June 6th, 1968. Yep, so I was still 7 years old, but I remember it. It's kind of funny. My parents are going to sound like they were horrible parents, maybe, because we lived in Big Bear, California at the time. And we lived in this cabin. And I remember my parents, I'm pretty sure, left me alone at the house to go bowling. I think it was bowling night or something for them. I think they were out bowling in their league, bowling night. And I think I was at home, and I was 7 years old. I'm pretty sure, how I don't think I don't remember anyone watching me. I don't remember grandma or a babysitter. I think I was home alone. But my parents pretty much trusted me, I guess, and they just trusted that no one would break into the house. I mean, no one's going to, doors were locked. We locked the doors. I was home alone, and I was cool with it. I was cool. I was just watching TV. I think I ate some cereal. I think I was playing with my toys, and I was watching, and I had the TV on. And then they broke in, whatever I was watching with the news about Robert Kennedy being shot. And I was watching the news as a 7.5-year-old, all by myself. And I was like, and I knew who Robert Kennedy was. I remember I knew who MLK was. I knew who RFK was at 7.5. I remember seeing them on TV and hearing their speeches and their, because RFK was campaigning. So I remember seeing him a lot, prior to that. And I saw, they were live at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, and they were showing like RFK's doing the speech, and then he walked off, and then I don't know. I think I remember they were showing footage of Rosie Greer jumping on the guy and a gunshot. I mean, they were showing a lot of stuff. I don't know if I actually saw RFK get shot on the news, but I remember the whole thing with Rosie Greer and people screaming, and so I was watching that, and then my parents came home from bowling, and I was like, Did you guys hear? Robert Kennedy got shot. And I think they had heard about it. I think they was playing at the bowling alley, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be okay, don't worry. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so awful. They shot him, or he's got shot. And they're like, I know. But I can remember, but isn't it kind of funny though that they left me home alone? They did that a lot. I got left home a lot as a young child. When my parents were bowling night or whatever, so bowling night. No, so yeah, you guys just took me back to a memory, VD Hurt says, I lost a lot of respect for Ken Burns. He was hanging out at Harlan Crow's estate in the Adirondack Park, Top Ridge, which was Merriweather Post, northern compound. Maggot Lardo was her southern compound. Hey, there's Nick Rich. Says, like number 67 has some stuff to do, but I am twisting one up and cracking a pint. 12:42 in Vegas. So yeah, I'm like way behind. I'm a half hour behind. Good day, loungers, and well, I'm glad you dropped in. Thanks for dropping in, Nick Rich. Always good to see you. So I'm going to skip down and totally needle drop. Mountain Bike Fan says, I was really little when JFK was assassinated. Well, JFK was assassinated. I was only like 3, and I have no recollection of that. Anyhow, so Mountain Bike Fan says, I remember my grandma being upset about something because we lived with my grandparents at the time. My mom said how that's all TV had on for 4 days. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was, I mean, even though I was only 3, but I always felt like the ghost of JFK just sort of seemed to hover over America for 10 years after his death, at least. Oh, did I skip something about Barb Murray? There's a little bit of something going on between VD Hertz and Barb Murray. Did Barb Murray say something nonsensical? Barb Murray says was he a trans, the shooter? Well, no. As far as I know, he hasn't come out as being trans. We know his name was Tyler Robinson. He was from Washington, Utah, which is right out of St. George. He was from a very Republican family, Mormon family. I don't know why everyone keeps saying that he has a pastor. Mormons don't have pastors, by the way. They have bishops. As far as I know, that there's no evidence of him being a trans person. But definitely from a right-wing Republican Donald Trump supporting family. I guess that's pretty much what we know about him. Okay, I'm skipping down. VD Hurt says, Barb Murray, well, you said he was trans. Well, I just read the thing where she asked, was he trans? So, and then Barb Murray says, I never said he was trans, stuff like. Yeah, from what I read, you were asking the question, was he trans? Kind of like, I don't know, was that kind of like Tucker Carlson? I'm just asking the question. Was it one of those type of questions? I'm just asking. So I don't know. But anyhow, I don't believe that that had anything to do, whether he was trans or no trans. I don't think that had anything to do with the shooting. James Jaramillo says 1248. The rifle was a 30-06, right? Not aware you could break those down. Yeah, I don't know. VD Hertz was kind of yelling at me, I think, about the backpack and the stairs, and because I just was sort of talking out loud about how I saw him jump off, and I was wondering how did he climb up there, and then I do remember seeing footage of him in a stairwell. So that's when I was piecing it all together. I was sort of talking out loud. Apparently, VD Hertz has no patience for that kind of shit. So, and then he's going all caps about V.D. Hertz was going all caps about that he had a backpack, and right after I had said something about I didn't see him carrying the rifle when he was in the stairwell. I don't think the rifle fit in his backpack. So anyhow, whatever. I don't mean to rehash old stuff here. So, Mountain Bike Fan says, how about Felon 47 being asked about Kirk and how he was holding up, and then Felon 47 starts talking about building the ballroom. Yeah. Yeah, it's like he just like didn't really care. I mean, it's all show. It's like I think he's a psychopath. Donald Trump is a psychopath. He's a sociopath. The sociopaths don't have feelings for anybody else other than maybe themselves. So they have to try to figure out how do people grieve? Like when something sad, it's like Dexter, right? Remember the show Dexter, where he had to try to pretend or try to figure out like what a normal person's reaction would be to someone dying or whatever. That's how Trump is, and so I think he thinks, okay, we're going to send J.D. Vance there, we're going to take the body, and he's going to get the royal treatment, and we're going to get put him in the Air Force Two, and he's going to get this. We're going to put flags at half staff. I think that's how Trump thinks that's how he should be reacting. And then when he's actually asked about it, then he's just like, oh yeah, I'm okay. And hey, we got the new ballroom going up. I mean, because the guy's a sociopath. The fucker's a sociopath, man. Nick Rich sent out a gift membership. Yippee to Nick Rich. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you, Nick, for doing that. And that went to, who got that? James Jaramillo. All right, good job. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you. And congratulations, James Jaramillo, for getting that membership. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to renew it, it's only $1.99 a month. So if anyone's thinking about becoming a member, for $1.99 a month, you can have you can have I don't know, you can have the joy of knowing you're helping to support this show. Jen up the base says, Trucker John, as you can attest, the Utah state motto is pipe down before I marry the both of you. Jen up the base, always in search of trying to be funny. Someday you're gonna do it. Someday you'll be actually funny. All right, I'm skipping down, guys. I'm skipping down, and I'm gonna needle drop. Should I do this all caps one from Groove Dragon? Okay, here we go. Let's see how this goes. Groove Dragon, and like I say, the all caps does make it easier to read. It says, what did happen in that the disparity of wealth increased in Utah in general and Salt Lake City in particular? What did happen? I don't know. What did happen? Is that I don't know. I don't even know if any of that's true. I don't know if there was a disparity of wealth that increased in Utah. I really don't. V.D. Hertz, amazing since the Mormon religion's roots is in Vermont, northern New York. Again, I'm sort of mid-thread on conversations, so I don't know what that exactly was in response to, but I did state, no, that probably wasn't addressing me. That was probably addressing something that someone else put in the chat. But I did address earlier that Joseph Smith, that Brigham Young took over the church from Joseph Smith, and that he moved the church out to Utah. Now, I did not state its origins. I think at some point, though, today I did, or maybe it was in some other chat, because I know that the state that the church started up in upstate New York, and that's where Joseph Smith claims that he found these golden tablets and all that shit. And then eventually, as he was, I think Joseph Smith ended up in Missouri. I think that's where he died. I think he was murdered. I think, right? Wasn't Joseph Smith lynched and hanged? He was hanged. He wasn't hung. He was hanged. Basically, Joseph Smith was a grifter, con man, you know, crook. But then Brigham Young was able to take the followers of the church, and they moved. They headed west, young man, to Utah and Salt Lake area, and that's where they have been. Their main central headquarters has been there ever since. Mountain bike. There was something Kirk said about empathy. Yeah, he said he doesn't believe that it exists. So yeah, turnabout's fair play, all right? There's Nick Rich with a $1 super sticker. Thank you, Nick Rich. Yippee! To you, thank you so much, Nick. I do appreciate you. So I gave you a thumbs up and a heart on that one. Thanks for helping support the show. Always appreciated. VD Hertz says free world should have stopped doing business with China when Xi became dictator for life, and with Russia when Putin did the same. I agree, but you know, it's money wins out if they're making money with these people. Nick Rich, 1 p.m. So I'm 23 minutes behind. Mountain Bike says, again, I agree with what Harry Shannon posted. I don't support what happened to Charlie. Charlie supported what happened to Charlie. Yeah, okay. I don't know why we need to keep repeating that. I mean, yeah, it's a very ironic thing there that he said, or that, you know, that happened. Jet of the Base says, videos, despite this data, Trucker John suggests that maybe 1979 data was cooked. I didn't suggest that. I said it was the best. It was fine. No, I said it was fine. I said 79 is fine. 79 is fine. The class of 79 is fine. I guess I have to keep saying it so you don't keep misquoting me. MJ Daniel says, in 1981, I don't remember if they had a motto or slogan. I was not there enough. I was out getting wasted and causing trouble. Class of 81 is the one. That's probably what they said. Class of 81 is about fun. Maybe they said that. Maybe. Mountain Bike Fan says, hi, Trucker John. Hello, Mike, Mountain Bike Fan. I think I said hi earlier. I don't know why I'm stumbling over the name Mountain Bike Fan. Mountain Bike Fan. I was talking about, I think you're talking about the Grapers, not the Gropers, but the Grapers. Hey, Karen Ames, I graduated from Antelope Valley High School in Lancaster, and yes, we did 79 is fine, greatest class ever. I graduated from Apple Valley High School in 79. So we both graduated from AVHS. But yours was Antelope Valley and mine was Apple Valley. And yes, Antelope Valley High School would always beat the shit out of us in football. So I don't like you guys. Karen. Mountain Bike Fan says, Karen Ames, Lancaster. My aunt lived in Palmdale for decades. I lived in Santa Clarita for 8 long years, a long time ago. So Mountain Bike Fan there, you're familiar with the area. BD Hertz says, Struggle John, I never see new Teslas, no new Model S, X, and barely any new 3s and Ys here. No one wants them. What my little anecdotal thing that I've noticed is that the charging stations are almost always empty or near empty, whereas, let's say before you know, let's just say before the election, before November, the most of the charging stations here in Vegas would be pretty full all the time, or at least, I mean, it actually kind of depends, but how far out you went from the strip or whatever. But most of the ones that I used, because I used to drive the Tesla for when I was doing rideshare, and they were almost always full. Where like there were, I didn't have to wait too long. There was usually a few spaces that were available, but there was almost always full. And nowadays, when I don't drive Teslas anymore, but whenever I drive, I still drive by the charging stations. And every time I drive by, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Wednesday night. It doesn't really matter. They're almost always empty, or sometimes I'll have just 2 or 3 cars in them. So that's what I've noticed. And I haven't really heard anything lately about sales and stuff, but I remember, I think a few months ago, especially when Musk was doing all the Doge shit and just fucking things up, that Tesla, and that's when everyone just started leaving. All the people who like Teslas started getting rid of their Teslas, and I think I remember hearing that the sales were tanking, were dropping. I haven't really heard anything lately, but Elon Musk kind of fucked himself over, by coming out and letting the whole world know what a fucking Nazi he is, and what a fucking and how harmful he is to the American people, and to their jobs, and to their privacy. In gathering, going into the Social Security office and gathering everyone's information and shit. So yeah, I think Tesla. Like I said, I haven't really seen anything or kept up on it lately, but for a while there, it seemed like they were kind of tanking, to the point where I heard that they were thinking about trying to get rid of him, and then that's when I think he left DC and started going back to his company to save his job, to save his company, to not be removed for being like the CEO or whatever. All right, I'm skipping down, and I'm sort of needle dropping. Roxanne 79. I was latchkey. I came home after school at 7 and stayed by myself. I wasn't really a latchkey. Usually, like when I came home from school and stuff, my mom would usually be home. For the most part, because my dad worked and he had long hours. He worked at the cement plant. And then my mom, even though my dad made really good money, sometimes my mom, she liked working. She liked she was good at being a waitress, and she would make good little extra pocket money with tips. She made a lot of tip money. So sometimes she was working, but sometimes she was just at home. Like, she just would work whenever she felt like it, or she would go get a job waitressing whenever she just wanted some extra money or something. And so there might have been sometimes where I came home and was alone, for a little bit, but it never seemed like a big deal. It never was a big deal. But then when I think about it, looking back on it, like, my kids, when they were 7 years old. I don't think we ever just left them alone, to themselves. I don't think ever, not ever, you know. So I don't know. MJ Daniel says my birthday is the 13th, so JFK was just days after my first birthday. Hey, is your birthday today or is it November? Or what? Oh, because November, JFK was killed in November. Yeah. Okay. Well, happy birthday when we get to November 13th. Gina Maynard says watching the Challenger space shuttle blowing up was traumatic for me and my class. I remember that day. Now I was, what was I, like 20 or whatever when that happened. But I remember when that happened. But yeah, I know so many. I've heard so many stories about people who were in class because they had that teacher was one of the astronauts that they brought up there to be in that. And so they really made a big deal, and they wanted, they were, all the schools were they would wheel the TV into the classroom, and they were watching the space shuttle. They were going to watch it, and then it blew up right in front of them. That's got to be really. I can only imagine what it was like for those kids, for school age kids, elementary school, and everyone's excited about the space shuttle, and then the damn thing blows up right there for everyone to see. Very, very traumatic, I'm sure. Mountain Bike Fan says, TJ, I agree. Felon 47 is a sociopath. Hey, there's Lainey. Lainey's here. Zero Empathy. Hey, Lainey, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I do appreciate you for coming in and hanging out with us. I'm skipping down and needle dropping. VD Hertz says, I just posted Don't Be a Sucker, National Archives in my account. Explains MAGA perfectly. USA DOD got it right in the late 1940s. So yeah, Don't Be a Sucker was this, I don't know, it was made by, I don't know who made it. Was it a government thing or whatever? Well, US DOD, I guess Department of Defense made that. So it would be interesting to watch that for sure. VD Hertz posted it. I guess you posted it on your YouTube channel, I guess, apparently. Luck Dragon says, I have a great memory, and I know how Trucker John always complains that I put too much question marks in my remarks, and so it automatically spells it out. I don't know. I'm just reading it how it's read. I'm just reading it how you wrote it. Skipping down and needle dropping. Thomas Walker says, put a check mark in the appropriate box. I'm just a questionnaire. The Roodles. I remember the Roodles. It was a Beatles parody band with the dude from Monty Python guy. Has anyone seen the new Spinal Tap movie? I heard it wasn't very good, by the way. Karen Ames says, my chest freezer died over Labor Day and it was filled with food, so had to buy a new freezer and taking my time to refill it. That sucks. That does suck. Skipping down and needle dropping? Mountain Bike Fan says, Trucker John, sorry about my name. Some think I am Bicycle Mike. Well, I was wondering, that thought did cross my mind. But don't be sorry about your name. It's not your fault that my mouth, can't talk, can't enunciate correctly. I put that on me, not on you. All right, so I am skipping on down. Yeah, Aaron West reminded me it's 2 hours, and now we're at 2.5 hours, almost 2.5 hours, I think, or 2:20, something like that. Groove Dragon says, make this chat thing easier for Trucker John. If you have a question or a comment that is meant for him, put his @name at the beginning of the post, please. You're not supposed to tell people that. That was a little secret, a secret trick. Anyhow, I'm skipping down and doing some more needle dropping. Barefoot Bears here says, I was in 3rd grade when JFK was assassinated. The principal came in and told us. I think we went home early. Wow. Gluck Dragon says, why do you have to bring up the space shuttle? That is so sad. I'm not crying. You're crying. Yeah, it was, and then they just played it over and over. Remember that? I was on a loop on the news, on CNN and shit. Like Uncle Andrews, I got to go pick up a pizza. I ordered pepperoni pizza. Yum. Now I want pizza. And now, guess what I'm going to order in a few minutes here. Just because of you, Michael McAndrews. Actually, I might wait till tomorrow because I'm going to see if I can get the Rams game on. So maybe, because I think I have a free pizza coming. So, Mr. Spock says the Ruddles were pretty good. Don't upset the apple cart. I don't know. That was Eric Idle, right? From mainly his thing from Monty Python. Damon Dog says, Trucker John, if you stop talking, I have to get up and clean. I know. I'm going to stop. I believe I'm pretty much at the end of the chat here. I did skip down. Luck Dragon says, if I were Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk, I would demand my wife come home straight from work and have sex with me. Okay. All right. All righty then. Why did I read that? Michael McAndrew says, one time when I was really dumb, a waiter said, do you want anchovies? I said yes, because I thought he meant I thought he meant like olives. The whole restaurant stunk. Was that a hearing thing where you thought he said olives? Anyhow, I don't know. VD Hertz, calzone with ricotta and mozzarella cheese. God, you guys, making me hungry now. Michael says I couldn't eat it. I think I had pizza with anchovies on, like, I think just one time, just to try it, because people would say like it was gross, or if the subject ever came up about anchovies on a pizza. And I did work at God, my memory is going, guys. I worked at the pizza place. I can't remember the name of it. It's a big national chain. I'm not sure if they're around anymore. Anyhow, and so we had anchovies because sometimes people would order the pizza with anchovies. And of course, most people that I know say that like anchovies is gross, or they don't see what people see in it or whatever. But I put anchovies on lots of pizzas as being a pizza cook. And so one day I tried it. I don't know if I tried it then. I forget when and where I tried it. But I finally tried it, and it wasn't that bad to me. It didn't seem that bad to me. But I never had it again. It wasn't so good that I was like, I'm ordering this on every pizza from now on. Mr. Spock, black olives and extra cheese. Here's the pizza that I ordered last Sunday for my football day. I got New York style with Italian sausage, pepperoni, black olive, mushrooms, and feta cheese. And it was pretty good. It was pretty darn good, I gotta say. So try that sometime. New York style Italian sausage, pepperoni, black olive, mushroom, and feta cheese. Plus the regular cheese and the sauce and all that stuff. Luck Dragon says Naked Gun was funnier than Spinal Tap. I guess the new ones, the sequels that have just come out. Or maybe that was a rebrand, but whatever. Mr. Spock, anchovies are not Canadian. Very rare here. Michael McAndrew's got to run. See y'all later. Thank you, Michael, for being here. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys on the next one. Okay, so I'm going to end the show. We are, I will be back on Monday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So tomorrow we're off. Tomorrow's football day, guys. It's football day. I can't have a show on football day, so I'm going to watch my Rams. Hopefully I can get it. That's a CBS game. I haven't checked to see if they're playing it, if it's going to be on here or not. So I might just be watching another game, and I don't know. Because I don't have the NFL, their thing. It's kind of expensive. I just have to watch regular TV. But anyhow, one way or the other, I will be monitoring the game through my device if it's not on TV, and I've been watching some football tomorrow. So no show tomorrow, but we're going to do a show on Monday at 11 a.m. And Mr. Spock says, "Oh my TJ, Pavlovian response." Yeah, it was good. It was really good. That combination. I don't think I've ever really had that combination before. That was a new one for me. Of that combination, maybe not though. It's similar to what I usually get. I think I added the feta cheese, but yeah, it was good. But yeah, so we'll be back Monday. Here I am, just going off on tangents. Well, I'll be back Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, right here on this very channel, the very channel that you guys are watching right now. We will be back right here at 11 a.m. Pacific time. All right, come hell or high water. That was another good movie. Did you guys see that movie? And so I'll see you there. I'm just looking down real quick at the chat. Anything there? Everyone's talking. Tomorrow's family day. No, it's football day, man. Hey, combine the two. Have football day with the family. Luck Dragon says, "I know everybody's going to block me for saying this, but I like Chicago pizza more than New York. You know what? I like it all. I like Chicago style. I like the thick crust. I like the deep dish. I like just whatever the regular is called, regular. I like the thin style, the more the New York style. I like it all, man. It's not, to me, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not either or. I can like more than one thing. But I have been getting this New York style recently, and it's pretty good. All right, guys. VD Hertz, I make Sicilian pizza too. Oh, that's right. VD Hertz, I've heard you talk about making your own pizza, and it sounds delicious. David Dog, I'll see y'all good folks on Monday, or Texas Paul, Boston, Brian tomorrow. Yeah, so tomorrow on Sunday, yeah, it's Texas Paul and Boston, Brian. And I don't know if the suffragettes, are the suffragettes coming on? Sometimes they come on. So they might be on today. They might be on right now. I don't even know. All right, guys, that's it. That's pretty much it for today. Just thanks for being here. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. There we go. There we go. There we go. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys like and make sure you subscribe. We are at over 4,030 already. We just hit 4,000. We're over 4,030. Let's keep going. Let's get to 5,000. Let's do this. Yeah, guys, come on. Let's get to 5,000. Because at 5,000, I'm gonna eat a cookie. No, that would not. No, I'm not gonna eat a cookie. What did I? Well, you never know. Don't think that old tough cookie hasn't eaten his share of cookies, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Anyhow, yeah, let's get Trucker John to 5,000. And he's gonna, I don't know, he might, who knows, he might drop some acid or something. That's what I was hearing. He might shoot up heroin. I don't know. He's kind of crazy. He gets so excited about these things. Who knows what he's going to do? He might drop acid and smoke hashish. Gesundheit. I don't know, but yeah, let's get Trucker John to 5,000. All right, guys, and thanks so much for being here. Oh, there we go. It took me a while to get in here. I didn't. Trucker John was waving at me, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Who, me?" And he's like, "Yeah, get over here, get over here." So anyhow, I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody. You guys, thanks for all the support. I see the Trucker John finally got over 4,000 subscribers, and he's been really giddy. He's been running around the house all happy and giddy, and it's amazing what these numbers do. So let's get him to 5,000. At 5,000, who knows what he's going to be doing? He might do cartwheels. The old man might actually do a cartwheel or something. Who knows? So let's do that. But I want to say thanks for everybody for being here today. And I've got to get ready for football day. I know it's not until tomorrow, but I'm a guy who likes to prepare well. I like to be prepared. Tomorrow's football day, so I'm doing stretching. I'm doing my stretching today because you never know. I'm still waiting for coach to call me up. I'm staying. I'm ready. Football ready. I might get the call. You never know. Yeah. Are you ready for some football? Football, you bet. What's on the side of my helmet? Does it say? Oh, number 8. I'm good old. Yeah, number 8. Look at there. On that side, it must be 85. Am I number 85? Oh yeah, look at there. Number 85. I must be a wide receiver. Oh boy, am I? Am I ever? Football, you bet. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I know my mods are like, come on, let's end this. Let's get it going. We got stuff to do, people to see, places to be. All right, guys. So see you guys Monday. And let's see here. I think I might have to take a couple of these things down, take these little posters down, and get ready for the words of wisdom. All right, so get your pen and your paper down, and let's go ahead and get ready to write. Are you guys ready to write this down? Okay, so for today's words of wisdom, it's going to be a 5-parter. All right, so make sure you got a big piece of paper. Okay, so for number 1 is that you.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes. Might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes. But if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hasta la vista, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the trucker John live stream. Yeah, the trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the trucker John live stream. No, it's time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again.
Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. So damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.
Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye.